This is not the way we wanted to come home from Colorado after a week-long Bigfoot expedition, but we were forced to come up this canyon. We wanted to go home through Spanish Fork, and everybody was diverted up this because there was a giant fire in Spanish Fork Canyon. So they diverted everybody up Indian Canyon, and right here there was 3 big trucks all pulling boats. 3 boats, 3 trucks, and a bunch of people on the side of the road right here. Jenny was driving. It was at the end of the expedition, and I was sick of driving, so Jenny was driving. And I'm looking at all these people in the boats, and I'm pretty sure they did not want to go this way, so they stopped to like, all right, how are we getting home now? And I'm looking at them, and almost level with them, because of all the diverted traffic, level with this across the way, there was a giant Bigfoot about 10 feet tall, and he had some cover, and he's watching all these people in the boat across here. And I start yelling at Jenny to pull over because I see a Bigfoot, and I'm grabbing the camera. He's probably about straight across from us where we're at right now, watching the people in the boat. So Jenny starts pulling over, and mind you, we're doing about 45, 50 miles an hour, and she could not get pulled over. Her first opportunity was this very next turnout.
Right up here.
Yeah, right about here. And just as we pass this tree, she gets pulled over, and I dive out of the car, and I'm staring at it because I'm grabbing the camera with my left hand, and I jump out. By the time I jump out of the car, he's disappeared. And then I'm walking back towards the people in the boat, and by this time, he was about the same distances from me as they are now from me, those guys. These things were nearly double the biggest guys' heights that were with this boat crew. Double the width, double the thickness and everything, and he disappears. Well, I'm making my way back hoping that one of them had saw the same thing. And they're oblivious to it, their backs to it. So I'm making my way, and I'm filming the mountainside, hoping that the camera catches it, I catch a glimpse of it again, and I never did see it again. And about half the distance I make from here to the people in the boats, they'd already piled in, drove off, and I could tell they were totally oblivious to what just happened. And then Jenny and I spent a while hunting for a Bigfoot shape. I probably stared at it for 5-10 seconds, and it was staring at them. Been back many times since scouring this mountain and just can't explain what I saw other than a Bigfoot. And I could see the gaps between his legs, both arms. I mean, I full on saw him. The angle I was seeing him, he was open and clear. The people in the boat, he was actually standing behind some cover.
So they couldn't see him.
So they couldn't see him, but my angle, I could see him.
And that's where it was, over there.
And this is near the top of Indian Canyon Pass. And after I come out with the Bigfoot sighting, these giant tanker trucks that have been going by, one of the tanker truck drivers got a hold of me, and just on the other side of the pass, he was coming the opposite direction as where he saw the Bigfoot. And he saw it in the wintertime, in the snow. So it stood out like a sore thumb because it was black. He thought it was a bear at first till it stood up and started walking.
That was kind of a dead giveaway.
Okay, and then after I'd come out with my Bigfoot sighting, several months later, the very first episode, very first season of Portals to Hell, Jack Osborne's show, he interviewed a guy down in Duchesne that 6 months before my sighting, he saw a Bigfoot while he was out on horseback. And he explained the same thing as me, a big black one. And he tried chasing it down with his horse, and it outran him.
And we're estimating that the height on the individual here was about 2 gimlins.
Conservatively saying 9 feet tall, but he was probably closer to 10. I actually think it was this turnoff that her and I pulled over.
That's fine. Nobody could tell.
Yeah, it's close. I actually think it was this one that we finally pulled off. Because Jenny didn't immediately start stopping for me. She didn't believe me. She looked at me like, you're full of shit. And I'm like, no, a Bigfoot, pull over. She thought I was yanking her chain for a second there. And I was not. I need to get out of four-wheel drive and all that.
That's the actual tree in Kelly's view of the Bigfoot that was further down the canyon that was watching the guys with the boats over here. He had to actually get out and go over and get it back
time I popped out on the other side of the tree, it was gone, and I never caught up with it again. I was filming the mountainside the whole time in case I could catch him on the camera somewhere, and I've gone over the footage with the fine-tooth comb, and
Just can't freaking find
he
it.
just disappeared. I'm wondering if us pulling over right here,
Probably.
you know, he's like, I better get out of
Yeah,
Dodge.
screw it. Human spotted
And
me.
you know what? The fire that diverted us up the canyon, I'm wondering if the fire's the reason why he was like exposed. He may have been here for the same reason, getting away from the fire. So
Could be.
the fire. I mean, we weren't supposed to be here. The fire brought us here, so it was a bunch of circumstances that come together that created that opportunity. And it was just before dark. You know, a lot of people, why didn't you go hiking over there? And I go, well, one, there's an active fire in there, and they're wanting people to get the hell out of here. And the other, that the sun was about ready to go down.
Yeah.
For us to go tromping across in the woods to go looking for him or evidence, it just didn't make sense at the time.
Unless you're suicidal.
We did come back the week later and scour this area, though. Jenny and I was coming back from Colorado, the Grand Mesa, on a Bigfoot expedition. On the way back, we got detoured to Highway 191. We were supposed to be going on Highway 6, but there was a massive wildfire. They detour us, and coming up over Indian Canyon, we pass a bunch of boaters. We're pulled over, and the people were standing there on the side of the road. I see a dark black Bigfoot shape, and it looked like it was staring at the boaters and the people standing outside of the boats and the trucks on the side of the road. So I yell at Jenny, pull over. She pulls off to the side of the road. The clearing that this Bigfoot was standing in the middle of, the trees obscured it. You know, we were at such an angle. So I grab the camera and I jump out of the car, and I get a couple of car lengths, and I get the camera on and started recording, and I'm recording the mountainside right now that I saw it on, and I circled the spot where I saw it. It looked like it was 8 to 10 feet tall. The domed head, the profile of it squared off in the direction of the people that were pulled over with the boats. You know, it was right in the middle of that clearing. And, you know, it could have been a bear. You know, it could have been, you know, a 9 foot tall bear. You know, I say 8 to 10 feet, so I'm going to cut down right in the middle, 9 feet tall. You know, if it was, grizzlies aren't supposed to be here, and it was dark black. And the legs looked a lot longer. I've seen a lot of bears, and the legs looked a lot longer in proportion to the body than a bear. But it was squared off in their direction. I jump out of the car, and I start going back. And like I said, the angle we were at, a tree and stuff was covering where it was at. I get to a point where I should be able to see it, and it's not there. And I keep going towards the boaters, and I'm looking at the guys standing outside of their truck, and I'm like, this thing is huge. Well, these guys are a couple of 100 yards from me by the time we got pulled over and everything. In the direction of that clearing's a couple of 100 yards. Just that proportion alone, I'm like, this thing's huge. You know, is it a bear? Was it a Bigfoot? Looking over at these people out of curiosity. I don't know, maybe it was just a coincidence and it hid before I jumped out of the car and started getting back to where I could get a look at it. Maybe it saw me looking up at it in its direction and noticed that someone was looking at it and it hid. It couldn't have gone very far. You know, by the time I jumped out of the car, the last time I saw it, and I'd stared at it for a good 5 or 6 seconds, long seconds. And then by the last time I saw it and got the camera on and got to a position where I should be able to see it, it had only been like 10 seconds. So it couldn't have gone very far. You know, I've been looking around the mountainside on this couple of minutes of footage I filmed trying to find it again.
You know, is it tree peeking across at me? I don't know. I don't see anything that looks Bigfoot shaped. If you guys see anything, let me know. I don't know if it was a bear, but from my perspective, if it was a bear, it was just gigantic. And to put in perspective, just a couple of years ago, across a draw like this, Jenny saw a bobcat and directed my attention on it. Really well camouflaged bobcat, and they only get about 30 pounds. Small compared to a Bigfoot or a bear. But she got my attention on it, and I zoomed in on it, and we got some really good footage of it. So, just putting that in perspective. I saw something on two legs standing across there. Dark black. The legs looked longer than what I would think a bear should be. It looked taller than what a bear should be. I mean, 9-10 feet tall is even big for a brown bear. Look around in the cover below, above, to the left, the right. I mean, you guys see anything Bigfoot like? Let me know. Alright, keep on watching. We're going to keep on squatching.
Yeah, seeing big cats in the ground is kind of hard.
Oh, yeah, there he goes.
You think we'll see him?
Oh, yeah. I don't see him now.
That was cool.
Well, I think I recorded him for like 5 seconds.
They got cops up here.
Yeah, there's got cops, fire departments.